Floating enemies are the second special trait introduced in the game. The first floating enemy you will encounter is Move. In the 38th stage of the Empire of Cats, Brazil. Unless you've been living under a rock, you would know that enemies with a trait can be countered by specific cats and abilities. Take Bishop Cat as an example, an early unit you can get with a counter ability against a trait. Bishop Cat has the ability to slow floating enemies for 4 seconds, which sets their movement speed to 1. With the Into the Future Sky Fruit Treasures, this duration increases by 20%. But before we start, it is important to mention this is the second episode in an 11-part series which will eventually cover every trait in the game. If you like this guide, make sure to subscribe to see the next one about alien enemies. Anyway, how do you best counter floating enemies? And see no trouble clearing stages such as these? Well, I'm glad you asked. Floating is more of a support trait, meaning there are plenty of enemies with floating and another trait. Take Calamari for example, a dangerous alien and floating backliner that can deal good damage and weaken your lineup with her ability. Due to her dual traits, you can counter her with anti-floating cats like Octopus Cat, that can tank her attacks with its resist ability, and anti-alien units like Cat Elite who acts as a good meat shield. But more on him in our next video. You can also bring in cats immune to her weakened ability, such as Cyborg Cat. Let's now talk about the most iconic floating enemy, Bonbon. The Bonbon family is an example of an enemy family, with every single variant carrying the floating variant except Relic Bonbon. Because of that, these enemies can be countered by units like Shaman Cat's true form, Sanzo Cat and Mare Cat's true form, Cameraman Cat. Sanzo is by far the best CC unit against floating enemies, due to his very consistent slow against floating, while Cameraman Cat is very spammable, has plenty of survivability, and deals lots of damage against the trait. The process to get these cats can be frustrating as they require a bit of luck. You will need lots of cat food. We recommend this video. If you have not heard about the Gold Pass, which will teach you how to get 900 cat food and a free rare ticket. One Cyclone in particular, the perfect Cyclone, can be cheesed with one cat only, Kotatsu Cat. His abilities to weaken and resist floating make him an anti-floating counterpart to Sushi Cat, and his true form allows him to be a very accessible wave blocker that will stay relevant for most of the game. One of the more threatening floating enemies is Brawlo. This is quite a gimmicky enemy that has insane amounts of DPS and lots of knockbacks, as well as plenty of backswing, meaning once you knock back it will attack back instantly. This enemy comes in groups and requires lots of meat shielding. But it is important to mention nuker units like Fishman Cat. With his massive damage versus floating, he can easily one-shot a Brawlo. Swimmer is even usable before true forming. Gobble has a very unique ability, Poison, which deals 8% of the unit's max HP, and therefore it's best to not try to tank it, but rush it down with units like Awakened Bahamut Cat and the previously mentioned Swimmer Cat, that you should now have true form for the increased range, stats, and movement speed. There are lots of other threatening floating enemies, but they don't appear in more than 1 or 2 stages, so they haven't made the cut for this video. And finally, this guide is Uberless, but anti-floating Ubers are very common, so you may use units like Windy and Catman. Before you go, we just launched an account giveaway which has every cat in the game. Watch this video to learn how to sign up. It's very simple.